Welcome into MZsportcentral. Today we're going to be going over the 2025 SEC tournament, the tournament that some people are saying is harder to win than the actual NCAA tournament. We don't know. That has yet to be seen, but it is going to be very difficult. And Matt's shaking his head no. So you don't
You
you don't
said
think so, Matt?
NCAA tournament.
I mean, you might have a harder run. Say you're someone like Texas A&M, which we'll get into. You might have to play Tennessee, Auburn, and then Florida or Alabama just to win the tournament.
Yeah, I can see it. It's going to be a tough one. We'll see.
All right, so it's enough SEC bragging right now. So we will get into the actual tournament. Tournament starts tomorrow, Wednesday, March 12th, and it is there's a lot of good games here. There are some decent games. First up, we have Arkansas and South Carolina at 1 o'clock Eastern. This game's interesting, Matt, because John Calipari did just come out and say that he does not care about the SEC tournament. He does not care. You know,
Again. Again.
this game is, or this tournament for them is all about improving their seeding in the NCAA tournament. And the thing is, you are going up against a South Carolina team that beat them by 20 or something like that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they stomped them. So it's going to be Arkansas is going to have something to play for. Obviously, they're playing to get in the NCAA tournament. So they got a lot to play for here.
Yeah, yeah. They South Carolina needs to win this game to they need to win the tournament. They don't have to win this game. They have to win the whole tournament. Arkansas, I would say Arkansas is pretty much in, but they need to do better to get a better seed. So next we got Vandy and Texas. I would say Vandy is in the tournament. I think most people would agree with that. Texas, at least according to the latest bracketology, I believe that Texas is one of the first four out. So Texas does need to have a good showing in the SEC tournament. But the game against Vanderbilt and Texas will be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see
How do
how
you
many.
not put one of the best players in the SEC in the tournament, Trey
Yeah,
Johnson? How do you not get him in there? I know that they haven't performed as well as they should have. I know they're not as good, but he's one of the best players, and you got to get him in there because when he gets hot, he played really well against us, and it was annoying, but it's going to be fun to watch him. So watch out for him and watch out for Texas. They could get hot.
I was going to say, if there's any team in this tournament that I would pick to not or to go on a run in the tournament, it would be Texas. In the SEC tournament, there's any team that can make a run, it's Texas. At least from this first day. Next, we got Mississippi State and LSU starting the second half of the day. This is also an interesting game because, again, Mississippi State is pretty solidly in the tournament, and then LSU is not. LSU is one of two
They are the
SEC
worst
teams
team.
that are not on the bubble.
They are the worst team in the SEC.
Yeah,
And
they.
so I think Mississippi State routes them on this one.
You think they do?
Unfortunately,
You think they do?
I think they take them by about 10. Mississippi State's. I know they haven't played well recently, but they're just a better overall team. I think they take them by 10 or more. Actually,
Yeah, yeah. In the next game, we have Georgia and Oklahoma. Georgia, over the past couple weeks, they have pretty much solidified themselves. I think the last time I saw them on bracketology, they were a 10 seed. Oklahoma is one of those last four in, I believe. So
yes,
this is an interesting game seeding wise. It's also an interesting game depending on how they match up in their next game. But it's going to be interesting.
I agree 100%. It's gonna be a good one. That's the one that we're looking forward to the most because that's who UK's got on the schedule
Yep.
next. So winner of that plays UK. So looking forward
Yes.
to that one.
So Matt, we'll just go through these first games. So if you are going to pick between Arkansas and South Carolina, who are you picking?
I think I'm going to stay with the South Carolina, and they're going to get it done again. I just think John Calipari. I love him. I have nothing against him, but I just don't think he gets it done here. And I think that they're not going to come out prepared.
Yeah, you know, I still think Arkansas will win this game. I think they just have a better
I could see
team.
it.
I think that they have a better team than South Carolina. I think John Calipari, he doesn't care about this, but he knows that he will possibly get stuck with a play-in game into the tournament if he doesn't win this game. So they'll win this game, but then I think they lose the next one.
Yeah,
Looking
It
at
could go either way.
looking at Vandy and Texas, Matt. This is one of the more easy. This is one of the more matched up games. Who do you think would come out on top on this one?
So I want to say Vanderbilt, and I think Vanderbilt's the better team. They're playing better right now. But Texas has nothing to lose. They got to win as much as they can to make sure they're in the tournament, to get into the tournament. So I'm gonna ride with Texas.
You're gonna ride with
Watch out for
Texas.
ride out. Watch out for Trey Johnson to go for like 20 or 25 points and just carry them to victory. I want Texas to win. I don't like Vandy as much, but we'll see. It's gonna be a good game. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, yeah. I still think Vandy wins this. Um, I don't like. I don't like. The big thing with me is I don't like the fact that Texas is not that good this year, and I just don't think Texas fans are going to waste their time going all the way to Nashville just to have their team maybe lose and maybe match up against Texas
But
A&M.
but it's the first time ever that they're
I
going to be
know,
in the SEC
I
tournament. They
know,
gotta go.
but they're
They
also
gotta
playing.
do it.
They're also playing in Vandy's backyard. Now, Vandy doesn't
I
have as
mean, that's
many.
fine.
Vandy doesn't have as
That's
many
fine.
fans as
They
Texas.
may not win, but they're going to go there and they're going to be the drunkest,
And
and it
I
looks
don't.
fun.
There is a certain fan base that will consume the most alcohol at the SEC tournament, and I can assure you, it is not the team wearing burnt orange. I can assure you I know who it is. I will not say it, but I assure you I know who exactly it'll be. When we're looking at it, we'll go on to Mississippi State and LSU. I think we both know who we're both going to pick here. It's Mississippi State. I don't
Yeah, I
see
got
LSU
Mississippi
making a
State by
run.
10 or 15.
This Oklahoma and Georgia matchup is interesting because both of these teams, Georgia is pretty much locked in. I don't think a loss here would knock them out of the tournament. I think it would negatively affect their seeding, but I think that Oklahoma here, if they win this game, or if they lose this game, there's potential that they don't even make the tournament. So I'm going with Oklahoma. I'm going with Oklahoma for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to ride. I think I'm going to take Georgia. I think Georgia's a better team. I think that they'll come out and just play better and be stronger. They're better in the paint. They're just better overall team, I think. So I got South Carolina winning this one.
You mean you got Georgia winning that one?
Georgia.
You're good, buddy. So we'll look at the next day. So let's just go off of just Ole Miss. That Thursday game is Ole Miss. I think that they would beat South Carolina, and I also think they'd beat Arkansas. I think Ole Miss is a little TO'd because they have the exact same record as Kentucky, and they beat Kentucky. But just by the way the tiebreakers work, Kentucky's the 6th seed, and they're the 8th seed. So I think they want to go out there and prove themselves. Everybody from this point on in the SEC tournament, the 8 to the 1, are definitely in the tournament. There's no doubt that all these teams are not in the tournament. So this is more just about seeding, and it's more about pride. And that's why I think Ole Miss, whoever they play, like for me, I have them playing Arkansas. I think Ole Miss wins the game.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss, no matter who they play, wins. I just think they're better overall. That's why they got the 8 seed. And so I think they could have been a 6 or a 7. So I think that they're going to win. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing here. I think Texas and Vandy would give Texas A&M a good game. I think if Vandy has to play Texas, or if Texas A&M has to get matched up against Vandy, I think that Vandy would give them a good run, but I think Texas A&M would win. But a lot of Vandy fans there would make it hard for Texas A&M. But Texas A&M you look at them, they lost to Kentucky in Rupp Arena without Will Wade. Or not Will Wade, with whoever they're really good.
Wade Taylor.
Yeah, Wade Taylor. Will Wade is the guy who used to coach for LSU at McNeese now. But
Yeah.
Wade Taylor, he didn't play that game. Texas A&M still looked really good. They beat Tennessee. They beat Auburn. They have a good team. It's weird that they're at
I
that
think
5
that
spot,
this is a
but
sleeper pick.
it is.
This is a sleeper pick, but this is my sleeper pick. I think Texas A&M is going to go far in the SEC, not NCAA tournament, SEC tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Texas A&M there no matter who they get matched up against.
Yeah, same.
All right, now we're looking at Missouri versus, we both said Mississippi State. So Missouri versus Mississippi State, again, start of the night games on the second day. Missouri's got a good team. They
They do, but they're not playing well.
they are
They
not
got
playing well.
destroyed by UK. They've lost 4 of the last 5. They're not playing well, so I'm riding with Mississippi State.
You're gonna ride with Mississippi State.
Yeah,
That's interesting. I think that a lot of people at this game, because I don't know how well Missouri will travel and I don't know how well Mississippi State will travel. I think they're very diehard fans will, but I think there's going to be a lot of blue in there, and I think a lot of those blue people are going to want to see Mississippi State win. However, I still think Missouri wins the game. I think Missouri is just better than Mississippi State. They haven't been playing good, but I don't think they'll go far after they win that game. Next game is Kentucky. The thing with Georgia and Oklahoma, Georgia is a very rough team. They play very physical. And Kentucky in this situation, I think Kentucky, what I'm scared of is that we re aggravate an injury to Lamont Butler or Andrew Carr or somebody else just gets hurt. So I
you
don't
can't
want.
be scared.
No. I'm not scared of that, and our guys are not going to play scared. It's just that that's in the back of my mind. But Oklahoma, there's a lot of bad blood between Kentucky and Oklahoma now because of Otega Owe and Brandon Garrison. So I think, whoever we play this game, it's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. But I think Kentucky wins it either way.
I agree 100%. I think that it's going to be a tough one, as you said, but we lost to Georgia before, so I want them. Bring them on. Bring them on.
Yeah. So next game, Auburn. Obviously, Auburn is the best team in the SEC right now. They did have that loss to Texas A&M and Alabama. I don't think they were very focused when they were playing Texas A&M because they already had the number one seed locked up, and they had Alabama coming to their house the next day or the next game. So I thought that was a trap game. I bet on Texas A&M. I won a lot of money that night on Texas A&M. I still think Auburn is better than Texas A&M, and I think Auburn gets a win. They won't play Texas A&M obviously here. They'll play Ole Miss, at least what I think, and
Yeah, I think so
then
too.
they'll win. And Auburn will beat Ole Miss.
I agree. Then we got Texas A&M and Tennessee.
Yeah, Texas A&M, Tennessee. We're just going off the higher seeds here for these. So Texas A&M and Tennessee. I think Tennessee's got a really good team this year. However,
There's,
they're inconsistent.
yep.
Are we going to get the Texas A&M team that played against Florida, or are we going to get the Texas A&M team that played, or are we going to get the Tennessee team that played against Florida, or are we going to get the Tennessee team that played against Kentucky? So I don't like them personally, even though there will be a lot of orange in that arena. I think Texas A&M beats them. I really do. I think Texas A&M beats them.
I agree. I agree. Tennessee, people have Tennessee winning this tournament, but just they don't score enough for me to win this in this day and age for the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament. I know defense helps, but you need to have you need to have players that can score, and I just don't feel like they have enough scoring and enough offense to win them the game. And so Texas A&M wins me that one too.
Yeah, I agree. Missouri and Florida. I think Florida.
I had Mississippi State in Florida,
Yeah, I know. I'm just going off the higher seeds here.
and I think Florida beats both of those teams.
I think
Anyways.
whoever they play, they beat. I think they avenged their loss to Missouri from earlier in the year, which I think Florida should be a number one seed. I think if Florida gets to the
I think
SEC championship,
they're a number one seed right now.
are they? I've seen some polls where they're not for some reason, but they
I
have.
think they're up there, but it could be either way.
Yeah, I've seen some where it's like Auburn, Houston, Duke, and Tennessee or Alabama, but not Florida. Even though I think Florida's the second best team in the SEC behind Auburn, and the records say that they're the best,
I
best
think
team in the
Florida
SEC.
is the best, playing the best out of anybody in the country right now.
Yeah. I mean, Florida's good. I like Florida there. I really do. Then we got
We got Kentucky and Alabama.
Kentucky and Alabama. This is one of those games where I like this matchup as a Kentucky fan. I think
I do too.
as a Kentucky fan, this is the matchup of any of the top 4 teams. I wanted this one because Kentucky.
Well, I would have taken Tennessee, but
I would have rather had Alabama, mainly because Andrew Carr is healthy now and Lamont Butler's healthy now. Lamont Butler did not
yeah,
play against them when we went to Alabama. We had Travis Perry guarding Mark Sears pretty much the whole game. And because of that, we struggled. Now, I can't remember if Jackson Robinson played in that game, but when Andrew Carr was healthy, Grant Nelson was not a factor in that second game in Tuscaloosa. In that first game in Lexington, Grant Nelson was a major factor. He's the reason why they won that game.
Yeah,
However,
for
Andrew
sure.
Carr could barely walk because his back hurt so much.
Yep.
So now that we have Lamont Butler, and then Sears wasn't a factor when we played them in Lexington, there will be a ton of Kentucky fans in this arena. There will also be a lot of Alabama fans because Alabama is not far from Nashville, and there's a lot of Alabama grads that end up in Nashville for work. It's kind of like how a lot of Mizzou fans end up in Chicago. There's just a big city there that a lot of them are drawn to, or they end up in St. Louis, whatever. But there is a lot of Alabama fans there. There's going to be even more Kentucky fans there, and I think if Kentucky, it's going to come down to who shoots better. And I think with the crowd on their side, I think Kentucky's going to win the game. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Kentucky fan. I'm saying it based off of when now that our two guys are healthy, and in the games where they weren't healthy, the guy who they, you know what I mean, the guy that was their backup that was guarding the Alabama guy went off.
Yep.
And also, when Alabama came to Rupp, they shot two more threes and won by 5 points.
Yep. And one
So,
thing that I noticed
or they
too
made
is
two more threes. My bad.
no, you're good. One thing I noticed is we're playing probably feels like some of the best basketball we're playing right now with the roster we have. And then Alabama is sitting for 5 to 6 days before they get to play again after beating Auburn. So I think that's going to hurt them as well because they're coming off the high, just not doing as good. So I think that's really going to hurt them. Not staying fresh, playing like a Tuesday or Wednesday game like they have been. So that I feel like that's going to help us too.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
We'll go more depth into it later though.
Yeah, we definitely will. So we are looking at the SEC semifinals on Saturday. So we have Auburn and Texas A&M and Florida and Kentucky as a second game. You know, Auburn and Alabama or Auburn and Texas A&M. That is going to be a good game. It's a revenge game for Auburn. I think the crowd will be on Auburn's side, and I think Auburn does end up winning the game, but I think it'll be close.
I agree. I think Auburn gets their revenge. I think Broom just takes over at the end, and they just are too much for Texas A&M.
Yeah. With Florida and Kentucky, I just don't know.
I want my heart. My heart wants to say
My
Kentucky,
heart wants to say
and
Kentucky too, but my
I just
mind
think
is telling me that Florida's playing so good. They score so much, and without Jackson Robinson, was I think if we got matched up with Florida in like the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16, I think we would have a better chance. Mainly just because we are still learning how to play against better teams right now without Jackson Robinson. I think if Kentucky lost Jackson Robinson, say, excuse me, say a month and a half ago, I would be confident with Kentucky the way that they're playing right now, but I think Florida's just playing better. But I think if we got Florida again in the tournament, I think that we would beat them. But I'm going to say Florida wins this one.
yeah, I'm gonna say Florida as well. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but I would be happy. I would be happy with the Kentucky getting that far.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think every Kentucky fan would be happy with us getting there. I think everybody would.
Yeah,
I think if Kentucky, I think just the way the fans have been with Nashville, I think honestly, if I don't think they would be necessarily happy about this, but I think if we got to that game against Alabama and we lost by a buzzer beater or we lost by like 1 point, I think fans would be happy. Like I don't think they would necessarily be overjoyed how they would be if we got to the semifinals, but I think they'd be happy.
yeah, I would love it. Everyone would love it.
So now we've got Florida and Auburn in the SEC championship. This would be this would be a legitimate Final Four NCAA tournament championship matchup right here between
I'm
Auburn and
taking
Florida.
Florida, calling it right now.
You know, I like Florida, man. I like the way they shoot. You know, I think that Auburn's everybody always talks about how old Auburn's starting lineup is. Florida has a pretty old starting lineup too, and they have a lot of experience. I,
Yeah,
I
I
just I
agree.
just think Florida. I think Auburn. There's a little
I
bit
don't
of
think Auburn's playing their best basketball.
they aren't. I
Um,
think there's a little bit of arrogance there with Auburn. You know, they've been so
and
good.
so
They've been so good all year. You know, they beat Kentucky at Kentucky and ended that like almost 30-year streak.
38,
Yeah,
years.
38-year streak of not winning in Rupp Arena. You know, they've done all this, and now they've come out and they've lost these two games. Now, if you're an Auburn fan, I hope that energizes them. However, I still think Florida wins the game.
I agree.
I
It's
think
gonna be a good one. Obviously, it'd be tight, good one. But just the way that Florida's playing compared to the way that Auburn's playing, I'd take Florida right now.
Matt. I mean, who would you take as your SEC tournament MVP at that point?
I'm gonna go with. That's a tough. There's lots of good players, but I'm gonna go with Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah, I don't see how you don't pick him as your SEC tournament just or MVP if they end up winning it. You know, they've done really. He's just been in their heart and soul the whole year. That the one game he didn't play was the game at Tennessee, and they got just murdered by Tennessee. And
If Auburn wins, I'm going Chaz Baker Mazzaro.
Chad Baker Lazaro,
Yeah, if I'm going him, if Auburn wins.
yeah, the guy that's 24 or 25 years old still playing college basketball. He would definitely be the him or
Yeah.
Janai Broom. There's
Yep.
no doubt about it. Him or Janai Broom. But yeah, that was a it'll be a good SEC tournament. It's going to be a great
Oh
one.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. Usually, the first games people don't even want to watch because they're terrible teams, terrible basketball. But now, since the SEC is so good and the teams are, wouldn't say that the bottom four is great, but they're good enough to where people are gonna tune in and watch, and it's gonna make it so much more fun.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And you never know. There might be a team that just goes on an absolute run. You know, you saw it in I think it was the West Coast Conference. Pepperdine was like the 9 seed of like 10 teams in it, and they went all the way to the semifinals and lost. You know, so there could be a team like a Texas, like a Mississippi State, maybe even a Georgia. I hope not.
That
That goes.
Texas,
That goes.
Texas could do it.
I think if there's any team that'll do it, it's Texas.
They are riding on it. They need that to happen to get into the tournament. So
They
that would
really
be
do. Yeah, it would be nuts if the SEC sent 13 teams. The only ones that didn't, and two or one of the three that didn't get in was on the first four outline,
yep.
and that'd just be nutty. But Matt, you got anything else before we end this right here?
SEC on top.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you all for watching, and
Thanks.
just we hope you guys have an amazing SEC tournament because it's going to be a good one.